Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the special PropTech Executive Insight Edition, where we are so pleased to have Deepa Muralikrishnan joining us from VTS. She is the VP of Product Management. Thank you so much, Deepa, for joining us today.
Hi, Nikki. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you folks are. I'm super excited to be here. I really want to take a minute to thank women in PropTech. The work your organization is doing is awesome to try and bring this community together, bringing us together. And Nikki, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
And thank you. And of course, big thank you to VTS as well for always being such a great supporter of our organization. So today, we're talking to Deepa about her career journey. She's really gone on, quite a fantastic adventure, leading for her to be, with VTS as VP of Product Management, joining in 2022. Deepa, can you maybe just talk a little bit about, what drove you to join VTS? What was your career journey and how did you land where you are at present?
Sure. Let me answer the first question. What drove me to VTS? I think it was an accident. When a recruiting firm reached out to me about VTS, I was curious. It was counterintuitive to think about, okay, I'm in a very stable organization. See, with post-pandemic, we are not back in office. This is a CRE industry. Why would I go switch to this industry, right? The whole prop tech was new to me. But I think the further I started exploring the opportunity and having more conversations and reading about CRE as a whole as an industry, why, yes, there's a lot of challenges coming out of this pandemic, but there's also huge opportunity, right? Because the whole CRE industry is going through transformation. And there's not a lot of technology solutions out there. There are a few, but very few mature tech solutions in this industry, like the accounting systems or building evaluation systems. But most of the work are done offline or on spreadsheets. So definitely VTS was a very interesting company at that point. It's just a year I'm here. Really look at they're really pushing and trying to transform the industry through technology, right? Helping landlords, the asset managers, the brokers to leverage technology to drive how they make decisions. So that was very interesting. And as I started talking to the executives or my boss now is Gijo Matthews, the CPO, it was also very obvious VTS as a company, cultural was awesome. It's a people-first company. And it was a very open culture over there in VTS. And the third important key aspect was where VTS is at the current point of our journey, right? We're not a startup. We're not a huge company. We are in this from startup to scale up mode, which is super exciting, which means there's a lot of chaos in there. There's a lot of opportunities. We're trying to transform as a company, put the right level of process, a lot of challenges we have both from organization and technology and as the customer needs are changing. So it's definitely a good time to be in PropTech and in VTS. And that's one of the reasons I really switched from where I was into VTS.
Fantastic. And I love that you also talk about one of the attractions for you when you were assessing the role, looking at the stage of the company and the level of maturity. And that, you do like having that kind of balance between, that kind of startup culture, but that maturity, well-funded and, kind of that kind of in-between stage and being part of the growth and being part of developing processes, developing the role, developing the team, and so on and so forth. And I know that you came, in your incredibly impressive bio, you've worked in e-commerce, you've worked in Audible, payments, HR, retirement services, etc. And for you coming into CRE, now what was the biggest learning curve for you coming into a different part of, a different vertical, a different industry, but still in a tech role?
Yeah. So I think you're right that I've had experience in multiple industries, right? I started my career as a developer, an engineer. With Audible, which is, at that time, Audible, Amazon, we were not part of Amazon. And we used to have this, Audible launched this Otis device, right? A small hardware where you have to download your audiobook and stream it. So I was really at an early stage of that company. And I had a good run. I was there for close to 10 years. We got acquired by Amazon. I did a lot of very technical role that was. But as I was growing within Amazon, Audible, I want to try different roles. Product did not exist then, right? It was like business analyst. So you have the business stakeholders, you have engineering, you need somebody in between to translate the requirements, right? We used to call it the analyst at that point. I've tried different program management role. I did do my MBA as part of my career with Amazon. I went to international. I launched digital platform Audible UK, France, and Germany. And then I was like, okay, I'm with this company for 10 years. Let me try something else. So I went to gaming, which is a completely different industry. I went into microtransactions, virtual currencies, blockchain, and integrating e-commerce solutions into games to purchase virtual currencies, right? To monetize the games globally. And then I did payment partnerships globally. And I was responsible, as part of my GM role, I was responsible to make a partnership with different payment processor in the international markets. So it's a single solution. You integrate with your game, you can monetize in global markets. And then I went as technology evangelist, like, okay, I'm done with managing people and I want to just go by individual contributor. And I went as technology evangelist to ADP. And my role was really to really do roadshows and talk about how ADP is investing in technology to help the customers. And eventually I came back to product. I think what made me come back to product is while all these different roles and different industries was super interesting, I really enjoy being closer to engineering, being closer to technology, trying to solve a real world customer problem through technology and launching that, right? And or trying to change consumer behavior. So for me, I think I was very passionate to be close to engineering and product to launch and scale technology solutions. From going back to your question on, as I was going through different industries, what is the difference or what is the learning coming into CRE? I do believe, I don't think everybody shared the same sentiment as I do. I do believe as product person and technologies, you build a muscle for being able to be strategic and very detail oriented. I think you need to be able to do that, right? No matter which industry you're in, you need to be able to identify the customer problem you're looking to solve for. You need to figure out how you can integrate, how you can bring all the systems together. You need to understand how you can leverage the data you have to provide better value. So there's certain skills which, as a product, a technologist, technology strategist, or whatever you want to call, will be building that muscle. And going from one industry to one industry, you will start seeing those common analogies or common problems you're trying to solve for. That's one of my key learning is, like, at this point, having been in different industries, I always have this conversation, like, what is the difference between industries? Yes, there are nuances. There are unique things which we need to know about our customers in CRE. But there's some skills and experience you bring along as you go and try out in different industries, is my perspective.
Fantastic. And I love that you do bring this, this wealth of experience and this cross-disciplinary, cross-industry expertise. So I'm going to ask you kind of a double-barreled question, especially for, real estate people that are tuning in and don't necessarily know, what is product? Like, what is the product role? If you can maybe dumb it down a little bit for us, what is product? And then on the other side of that, when you approach product in your job at VTS, what is what is your approach to it? What really differentiates, how you do it and how you think about it and how you tackle these challenges to be as good as you are?
Yeah. So product management goes, there's different levels of where you are as a product manager, right? So if you think about product, we are the voice of our customers, right? The customers could be internal, it could be external. No matter who your customer is, we truly have to empathize for our customers, see the pain point. What is a problem? What is a need over there we're trying to solve for? So as a product manager, when you come in first into the entry level and just you're coming from different functional into product management, the first role for us is to know our customer well and understand the journey. What is the job they're trying to get done using a technology, or maybe the technology doesn't exist at that point, but really being able to understand what is the problem we are trying to solve for and be the voice of the client, customer within our organization is very critical for product manager. So, and you're also the liaison, right? You're also the liaison between the customer, our business stakeholders, and the engineering team. So you're this glue who's connecting all the different teams together, making sure we are delivering the right value for the customer. We are making sure we are delivering the right outcome for our business as well, for our investors and our business stakeholders. And we are also making it realistic for our technology team to deliver on what we are saying we're going to deliver. So really the product role is very, very critical in any organization. But and so a typical day-to-day job is, you're talking to your customers, you're talking to stakeholders, you're doing like UX researchers, you're trying to do long form interviews. It could be any methodology you follow, but the end output or artifact comes out of that is, okay, what is the problem? What is the outcome you're trying to solve for? And what data or analysis you have done to create a hypothesis is, this is how we are going to solve this problem. And then it goes into solutioning, designing. So we typically follow this process of interviewing, we call it generative research, right? To understand the problem statement, what problem you're trying to solve for. Then we go into design sprint, right? You take that idea and you help conceptualize it through designs. So we go through a bunch of design sprint, create different concepts, test it again. Is this what you're looking for, right? It could either be a stakeholder who's trying to take a new idea to the market. It could be a customer. So after generative research, we do design sprint to test out the idea through usually to prototyping, and then figure out, okay, it's always going to be more than we can execute on, right? So how do we come up with a pragmatic roadmap saying, okay, this is what we want to take to the market, but let's break it down. Like let's launch something quickly, test it, get the customer feedback, and then feed the feedback into the product evolution. And we constantly iterate on it, right? And that's product management 101, if that's helpful. But that's what we do. And that's super exciting job to be in.
Thank you so much for that overview. And I love how you talk about, product being the voice of our customer. I think that's, just a really wonderful way of talking about it. And as you were describing this kind of this iterative process of, generating research, understanding the problem, running into sprints, testing, prototyping, it really makes me think about commercial real estate and some of the issues that, the real estate industry is been having with, return to office and vacancies and a few other things. And, I'd love it if our industry could take that same kind of, real estate itself rather than the tech side, to be able to take that, that same kind of philosophy of, research, test, learn, get the results, improve upon, because real estate is so slow to evolve and to move. So I just love some of the, the language and the way that you describe the way that you approach, you approach product and, innovation and evolution. I might ask you a little bit about the, the work that you're doing at, VTS and the work that you're doing with your team. With some of the impacts of the pandemic, as a leader in the team, how have you really managed, your team? How have you managed, motivation? How have you managed, kind of like that people element of, everybody that you're involved in to really, have, really get a great result for everyone and for the company?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. There's no silver bullet, and it's not easy because all of us are learning. Like we went into this situation in the pandemic during that period. We had to quickly learn how to operate remotely, right? Like we are used to being in a room doing whiteboard session. Now everything it took a while for us to even figure out how to use whiteboard on Zoom, and everything which was like a water cooler conversation is now a meeting, right? And I'm sure, Nikki, your schedule is completely packed because everything has to be a meeting now, right? However, I think we have come through it. We have learned few best practices. In VTS, we are a people-first company, and which I love about VTS, right? It's no matter what we do, we are very sensitive with how we have to put our people, make sure our employees their health is important, their family is important, and everything is like, we really definitely put them in the center of some of the decisions we make. So we just went through this process of making sure we have all the tools and tools available for our employees as we are moving remote. And then now that we have been in remote for a few years now, one of the things we definitely follow is it's a very, no matter if you're in office, I mean, we are almost back to office. If you come to New York office, it's packed. Some days when we have free lunch, it's completely packed. Right? So we at least see like folks in there 3 days, 4 days a week. Some of our offices are packed, and we are global. In some areas, they're not back into office completely. But in whether you're in office or remote, what's critical for us is to build this relationship, right? The way we are open, we're not very hierarchical. We have an open culture. We are actually like motivated and challenged by the executive teams to like be curious, right? Ask the questions, surface the right topics to have hard discussions and make decisions. So we definitely, it's a culture where it's an open culture to have those conversations, have hard conversations to make decisions. That could be anybody in the organization. We're not a hierarchy company. All these helps, right? Because it's not like, okay, you're a boss. You're truly your leader. There's a huge difference between being a boss and a leader, right? A leader is a motivator. You want to follow that person. He's gained your trust, and I know my leader has my back. So that's a VTS culture, and it's very refreshing to be there and work with this team. We have our own challenges, but that's something we really follow. Putting people first in our organization is critical, we believe.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear about that kind of, people first approach, and it's something that really appeals to you and your leadership style, and in terms of motivating your team, and that it is a good environment. It speaks a lot to the success of your leadership style to be able to achieve that. I might be a little bit cheeky and ask you maybe if you can give a little bit of a hint about something that you might be working on within your team, or might have on the roadmap about, around product, and, what really gets you excited about some of the, some of the items that you're working on at the moment.
Yeah. Sure, it's a very exciting space. I mean, not only in VTS, right? Like if you just look at the CRE industries, it's a 16 trillion global industry. And as I mentioned previously, we're just transforming the whole industry. We're trying to drive behavioral change on how this industry operates. And there's a lot of opportunities out there. So one of the things which for us, and personally for me, which is most exciting, we are working on, if you look at the history of VTS, we start off as Lease, the product which today I own. VTS Lease is a core product. That's how VTS started 10 years back. VTS quickly moved from being a single product company to a multi-product platform. They did a bunch of acquisitions in the last year. So from helping CRE leaders, be it investor managers, asset managers, leasing team, property managers, or even tenant themselves, there's an end-to-end solution offered by VTS, from making investment decisions to marketing your space and leasing your space to providing tenant experience through our RISE apps. Right? So we have a wide range of portfolio of products. The biggest challenge now we are going through, and which we are investing a lot in, is like, how do we integrate these products? Not only our own products, right? We are also in the center of an ecosystem, CRE ecosystem, where there's a lot of solutions, but it is fragmented. If you go into the CRE tech and Realcomm, you can see there's a lot of niche players coming and innovating and creating solutions and products for this in the PropTech industry. So how do we make sure we are in the center of this ecosystem, an open platform, not trying to create a closed platform, but really integrate with the right partners and provide a turnkey solutions to our customers, right? That's a very exciting space to be in. And the second most exciting opportunity for us is, because VTS has been in the industry for 10 years, we have a lot of data, right? We transact around 500,000 transactions, like deals, every year. We have around 87,000 properties on a system. We manage 13 billion square foot space on our platform. And we have I think around 6 million employees. So we just have a lot of data just because we have been in the industry for 10 years. How do we leverage that, right? How do we leverage the data we have, which is very unique to VTS, to surface at the right moment and enable the decision makers to drive critical decisions, right? Whether you're trying to figure out your leasing strategy, whether you're trying to figure out how much would my rent can be rented in space in this sub-market, or a property manager trying to figure out how many tenants are coming in, how active are they in the space, what will be the risk of renewing this tenant if the renewal is coming up, right? There are critical decisions you have to make. And our challenge is, how do we enable that? How do we use the data to surface the information at the right time to enable better decisions?
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it sounds like you're just really at a very exciting point in time with, even though you're only 1 year into the role, that's, just where VTS is at the moment, with 10 years of data that you've expanded out from being this, core product into this ecosystem that needs to integrate everybody else, being at the center of it all. I can really hear the passion and see the vision of, and the purpose in everything that you're working on. So we're running up to time now. So I might just end up with just one more question. I always like to end up with something, that's just a little bit more future focused and a little bit, aspirational and future focused. But I suppose, if you look towards maybe say the next 5 to 10 years, what technologies are you most excited about and the applications that they might bring to commercial real estate?
Yeah, that's it's a very interesting, because it's all tech. All tech is super exciting, right? But if you think about the few trends happening, the first one is, we spoke about it, real estate as a service is trending, right? They're trying to figure out how to, with post-pandemic, is like, we need to be more flexible. Just rental is not going to be the sole driver. We need to have provide flexibility around we are leasing. So real estate as a service is trending. We need to figure out how to enable a SaaS solution, which will deliver different delivery models, right? That's one. The second trend is really around this concept of leveraging connected devices to enable smart buildings. Like that's like every building is like, okay, how do you connect? How do you make the whole building digital so that you can get the data on how the energy is consumed in the space versus how many people are coming in, touchless entry. So connected device is a big theme. And the third one is like data, right? So it's really providing more flexible real estate as a service delivery model to making sure that we are digitizing the whole building and reimagining the tenant experience, and how can we enable technology for our clients to do that. And the third one is, okay, getting all the data from everything we do, how do we leverage the data? How do we leverage the data to provide insights to drive better decision? So I do believe these are the different CRE trends we are seeing, and the technology trends which is going to influence the solutions we take to market. And it's very exciting.
Incredible. And I think with you working as a VP of product, I think there's going to be endless iterations and possibilities about the value that you can actually bring to real estate, using technology, using connected buildings, using connected systems, etc. So Deepa, this has been an absolute delight. I love your passion. I love your enthusiasm. And I just love the insights that you've shared. So thank you so much for sharing your career journey, a little bit about everything that you're doing at VTS as well with the Women in PropTech community. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thanks, Nikki. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much for taking the time. Have a great weekend.